Welcome back. Here's where you left off. Spoilers ahead for chapters 18 through 23 of Able-Bodied Soldier.
Okay, so my prediction from last episode into today's episode, we got the hint of something's happening. Remember, I've been complaining about all the stuff that's we've been waiting for. They've been training and all that good stuff. They did their test. Now they're ready to head out. Now I'm part of this book that I'm getting really excited. I'm still a little bored, but I am getting excited. They're getting ready to be deployed, but there's a caveat in that deployment. We're talking about they're just gonna go out there as a support, but not as a mech, but as a fighter. Do you agree with that? With that assignment? I think there's some hesitations in the higher ups that this is not going to work out. I have to feel like something else.
If you look in his military history, things like, the airborne was a brand new concept in World War II, and they proved invaluable in World War II in various campaigns, along with the development of special forces. So, anytime that you get uh, a group of people that are doing something out of the norm of a military context that they're not used to, military people get very, very sketchy about it. Even in World War One, the introduction of the tank and the introduction of the machine gun, some military people couldn't look beyond some odd historical sense of chivalry and honor from God knows when, and they just sent thousands of men to their death because it was the honorable thing. Anyway, my point is that the what we get here is sort of what I expected in a sense. We're still technically not out of training because we're I think we're like 65% way through the book and we're still not out battling yet. So I have hope now, but damn man, we're getting a long time to get there. It's taking really, really long. I do enjoy the aspect of it that they've come together as a team. I find it a little odd though. I want to ask you about having the switch of command over. What did you think about that? Because the colonel, have been there since the beginning. I'm not sure how I feel about them flipping out the commander right at the end there. What did you think about that?
It's actually kind of interesting because when they ended up switching that way, I have a feeling that it was a because remember the original command, it was it's Major something fudge, but he was there to start the program. So theoretically, he is not in charge. He's just in charge of setting everything up, getting everything up and running. He's the paper pusher in this whole thing. And this new guy coming in, he's more front line command. So for him being given the command for the new force makes a lot of sense because you don't want the guy who started the program to be part of the part of frontline command. It just doesn't make any sense because he still has his original assignment of training new mech soldiers or mech company, in other words. So it makes a lot of sense for them to switch, but at the same time, the dynamic of the team changed so much regarding from when the training was going on and the new tactics showed up, and now everyone's being called out of their egotistic mentality of like I'm better than you mentality. So the new command literally smashed that right in everyone's face. Like you have to work together. If you guys not working together, the door's over there, right? So having a new command sort of changed the whole dynamic. They have to rely on their training. So in other words, they put in a position that they can't use their influence from the previous trainers to move into the next stage. So that everyone has to start fresh, right? So
They're really putting them out as ground pounders in a sense, and it is interesting. I wonder if the authors have thought of military history and thought about this because special forces in World War II were looked at as some crazy guys doing strange things and thinking outside the box. And that's a lot of what these mechs are. They require you to integrate hard hitting tanks on the ground that can also, I guess, jump jet in the air. And so it requires you to think in a different way of combat, which is what Titus is doing. He's trying to integrate his experience of combat into this fighting force. And I like the way he's doing it as a grunt on the ground. And I like the dynamic of it. I think what you're going to see is the whole underdog trying to prove their worth kind of thing as the rest of the book's gonna come out. I mean, it's looking. I mean, God, how much more time do they have left in the book to really explore this? I mean, what do you think about that?
For them to explore something very dynamic like that, it gets very tricky because, as you said, the book is almost done, right? And we know there's two more books after this, potentially two more books. And I have a feeling that I said this, I think something out properly. That it is a very. I was not excited throughout the storyline, throughout the book itself. For now, right? I don't know what's gonna happen in the next the next chapters, but I feel like the character development from from chapter 1 to where we are now, it's nice. It's not as detailed, but that's fine. That's normal, right? That is incredibly normal. And the way that they're building up this fight scene, or who the enemies are, and we know that that humans are dirt side, uh, fighting for the aliens because they think they're god, they're cult like status for this aliens, right? And they actually mentioned several times too that when Vancouver happened, at the end of the event happened in Vancouver, all the aliens left, right? The Scalies left. That's perfect, but they have this cult now that's doing a proxy war inside human territory, right? Including all the colonies outside Earth, right? And now at the end of at the end of our reading chapters, that they're getting ready to head to Eastern Europe to fight the cult, the humans that supporting the Scalies, right? And that that part of the part of the book is actually very interesting because I'm not sure if you notice that they actually went a little bit more in depth regarding who are they fighting, who they're fighting, what they're planning to do, what's actually outside Earth. The reason why they're doing things this way is actually ties in a bit, right? In the same time too, they even talked about why Titus can't grow another leg, right? And it actually very nice to hear. It's nice to see that because
No, no, no. They're not talking about that. They're implying that they're going to do something for him that is a biological leg, I think, because the colonel had it, and I think that's what they're implying.
yeah,
Didn't
that's
you gather that? Yeah. So, but I actually disliked that part of the book a great deal.
really.
I I really did. I think that
Tell
I
me,
this sounds
tell me,
awful. I
tell
don't want
me.
him to get legs. I don't want him to get legs, because I think that the strength that he's getting from managing his disability is part of the strength that he's bringing to both the character, and just throwing that away, that because that's his strength, giving him legs so that he's just one of the guys again. I think that that's not necessary. I think the strength of the character is him overcoming these barriers. And I think from a writing perspective, having him working through this disability on the battlefield would be much more interesting than, say, for him jumping out of the mech and being like, well, my legs aren't working proper now. So I've got to, I tend to find the fact that, some scene with him out of the Mac being, joking about, well, the wheelchair isn't going to work here or something like that, and him overcoming those barriers is far more interesting a plot to me than them just growing him another pair of legs, because it sort of takes away from the original purpose of the colonel coming to get him, right? It's like, hey, it doesn't matter that you don't have legs, but now I'm going to give you legs. Why didn't you do that in the beginning? you could have just easily done that. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it kind of takes away from the
yeah.
character a bit, I think.
I kind of understand what you're saying, that for him being put in that situation of like, hey, I am gonna give you legs, but at the same time, I'm not gonna give it to you. You know what I mean? It feels like you're right. It feels like the opportunity for him to grow as a person, right? So it's like saying, hey, I came from, I was able body, now I'm not. Now I did all this work of defining who I am and what I can do as a soldier, despite that I'm missing a leg, missing my legs. Now you're telling me that I can grow it back in a way that I can get artificial legs.
It's almost like a tease, right? It's like
Yeah.
and I mean, having said that, the original premise when the colonel came to him is like, well, you don't have legs, but you know what? That doesn't matter. Well, now apparently it matters
It
because
matters
they're
to
like, oh,
him.
we're gonna dangle the legs in front of you.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it was the colonel himself is the one who had the leg.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, that's just freaking like,
That's just cruel, man.
dude.
It's so cruel. It's like saying to him, it's like, hey, Titus, you did such a great job. You're doing such a good job. Now, what I'm gonna do for you is I'm gonna give you a carrot. If you do your job properly, I'm gonna give you this carrot. But before I give you this, you have to do all this work now, right? I thought then in my opinion, if I'm in his position, I'm probably like, well, I did all this work. I did an amazing job, like getting to feel better again, to be comfortable in my own skin. Now you're telling me that I have an opportunity to get artificial legs, but why are you telling me this? I felt like I felt like that the character developed, like the character developed so well regarding his overcoming his disability and all that good stuff. And I think you agree the same, this is in my thoughts as well too. It was a
That's the strength of the
great,
story.
yeah, it
That's the
was,
strength of the story. And
yeah.
I mean, we don't get a lot of stories with people with disabilities in it that are the hero character, will say. And I personally like that. I really do find this, turning a disadvantage into advantage and so forth. And I think you would agree that that's the strength. And I think it sounds cruel saying don't give him legs, but I think that's the strength. And I don't want it to become a you've done a good job, Titus, so we're gonna give you the legs. It reminds me so much of Avatar, where he goes on this mission to the planet to serve for a few years, and then the clutch
They'll
is,
give
oh,
you,
we'll give you
yeah,
some legs afterwards, or we'll
yeah.
make your back work again, or whatever it is, So
I think that was the intent of this whole thing. That I think you're right, because it was such a great backstory, the great story about this, of Titus, because like I mentioned before, it is overcoming his thing, right? And literally like days before they get deployed, right? Literally days before they get employed, and this happens. What is the intent? Is the intent for him to take over the leadership of the group? If it is, fine. Damn it, just give it to him. Why do you have to play this game? I feels like this portion of this whole thing does not make any sense to me. Why are you
I
dangling
just
this?
I look at, I mean, okay, I'm thinking, and I mean, okay, this really belongs in our final book review, and obviously we don't have the right information, so this opinion will probably change. But what
Oh,
I
it will
feel like is
change.
because there's going to be 2 or 3 books here, this is just a setup book for the next
Yeah,
two
yeah.
books,
But
which is fine. I'm not objecting. I wish it would move along a little bit quicker. Maybe, the next few chapters will do that for us. Here's hoping. I also have many questions about the alien race. And because one point that was made that really stuck in my head was they attacked Earth, but they've kind of left the outer colonies alone for the most part. And I'm like, why would you attack the strongest part of an empire, which would be Earth, rather than a weak colony that only has a few thousand people? It's something about that something about that is not sitting right with me tactically. So I'm just like wondering about it. What
Okay.
did you think?
Okay, you open this Pandora's box here now. Okay, cool. Okay, so they invaded Earth, and the Vancouver incident kicked in. I guess they invaded the west coast of Canada, the beautiful part of Canada. So they invaded that part.
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Love that city. Live
Yeah.
there.
Well, yeah. So,
yeah.
so what you're saying
um,
is a Canadian kicking ass. Like,
yes. Yeah. So it happened there. It happened literally in Vancouver. They drew them away, right? But at the same time, the main epicenter of the invasion was in Vancouver, and they spread around Earth. As soon as they kicked out the alien scalies out of Vancouver, everyone left, right? But the damage is done. You have your they have their own proxy war now with humans versus humans. Doesn't matter if it's by design, by the aliens, or by accident. We don't know yet. That's fine. We'll figure that out sooner or later. But he actually mentioned several times as well too that even when Titus lost his legs, that's like, hey, if you don't give me my shot, I'm just gonna move to the outlying colonies and fight there, right? So we already established that they left Earth, they moved out. Now they even said, I can't remember who said it, that they can't fight air to air against them. But if you go to us outlying colonies, because there are less people there, we can actually invade easily, right? And you said as well too that why would you go to the epicenter of a species colony world and try to invade from the inside out? You should do from the outside in. It makes a lot more sense, right? This actually comes out very very good segue of, remember Battleship, the movie Battleship?
Oh boy.
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah.
go down.
Oh,
that
we're gonna
road.
go down
Okay,
road. Yeah, okay.
I did open up a can of worms.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So in that situation, they invaded Earth because theoretically Earth is the only world that actually, well, that's a different movie. But we'll go Battleship and Battle Los Angeles. It's the same thing. In Battleship they invaded Earth, right? And they tried to colonize that. So they went straight in there. They have flaws that they have to figure out. Same thing for the Scalies as well too. So they went straight in there. They tried to attack. In this scenario, we're not colonizing planets yet, but we're still inside, right? So they went straight to the epicenter and tried to colonize that world. Remember, Earth, in their mind, is an open world. They can go there, see what they can get, and leave. Right, same thing in this book. It's in Able Body. They think, hey, they're just humans. They have minor colonies out there. Let's just go at it. So they went there. They went straight to the lion's den here, right? And they weren't prepared and how to fight properly. Right.
Do we really have enough information though to make these assessments? I mean, we've got a little bit here and there. I mean, the cult following that's fighting against humans. We don't really have a good explanation as to why they're doing that. I mean, in a way, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, if you look at the possibility of invasion and so forth on Earth, there will always be some people, zealots and so forth, that may look at it as things like the end of the world or something like that. I don't necessarily see many people claiming that the aliens are the superior people and we should worship them or something like that. I'm sure it's possible, but given human psychology, I don't know if that's really the way that we would react as a people. At least I would hope not. What do you think?
I hope not either, but it's, if you look in today's society, look at in our world, in IRL, in our real life scenario here, right? Theoretically, you can invade any countries you want. Not really, but if you do decide to invade, you invade in an area that you can actually win first, right? If we're just doing conventional fighting, let's see how far we can push this, right? Until the resistance comes in. Doesn't matter if it's the country that you're trying to invade and their military and their resistance push you back, right? There's an initial, holy crap, we're getting invaded. What are we gonna do? There's gonna be a mad scramble, right? And next year, the human nature will kick in. It's like, what are you doing here? I'm going to kick your ass now and get out of my country, type, or get out of my land, right? So the same thing's happening. So in this scenario, they invaded. They have the overpowering strength here, and Earth or humans finally get the crap together and push them out, right? And where we are right now in the book is we're literally the we're at the arc of that invasion, right? This is going to be the turning point.
I think that what they're putting out there in the book is that the Europeans are having a harder time of it, which oddly enough is usually the truth about it.
Well, remember
in the way that goes.
Remember, it's not Europeans having a hard time. The concentrated fight is actually in Europe right now. Not it can be South Africa, could be in Africa, could be in Australia, could be in Asia, could be anywhere. Right now, the epicenter of fighting is in Eastern Europe. That can be anywhere. Remember, the epicenter used to be in Vancouver. Now shift. Right, so everything shift back and forth. It's like you say they got rid of one part of the issue. Now everyone moved to this part now. That's why they're really moving to Eastern Europe.
Going down a rabbit hole.
We are going down a rabbit hole.
Going down a rabbit hole.
You know why?
Pull it back. Let's pull it back from the rabbit hole, because I mean,
you know why we're going down this rabbit hole, right? You know why, right?
Yeah, I know.
You know why? The reason why we're going down this rabbit hole is very simple, because where the book is now, we are going into this storyline of this whole entire arc of the story, literally in the middle of fighting. The information we receive is very sprinkling, a little dash there, a little information over there, and we're trying to collect them out. And I think the purpose of this, where we are right now in the book, and getting that's minute information, is that sprinkling of information, and the last three chapters picked that interest in me. Like, I got a little bit more excited. I literally finished the whole thing. Tell you a story about that later, but I did try to finish as fast as I can because I was very interested. Right, and
yeah, and I mean the next set of chapters, I think we both have a lot of hope that's going to have. We'll sum up as more action in it than the training piece, which is a little unfair, because the training piece has a lot of action in it, but it's training and it's not really high stakes yet, right? And we're not really putting it out there. Although I will say that I appreciate the writers trying to develop the characters in those chapters during the training. I just think that for the amount of time they spent on these chapters, like well over almost 2/3 of the book, they don't all feel as fleshed out as I would hope to at this point, except for Titus. Titus is there. Like, we're totally on board, right?
Yeah, we have more information about him, right? We have more information about the new commander, the new major, right? We have more information about some of the characters, but not enough. Remember, they had that little powwow, a little let's meet and greet, let's go talk about who we are, right? And it was nice to read that, because it gives a little bit of insight of each character. But at the same time, let's just move on. Right?
Yeah, I know. I'm totally ready to move on. I got the end of the 23 and I'm like, technically, we're still not done with training. I mean, I know they said we're done. I realize that. They said you're going to pack it up and we're going to go, but I don't know. At the point now where I'm like, next chapter might start and they're just like, well, we're ready to get on the plane now, and we spend 3 chapters on the plane or something.
Yeah, they've been after they packed their mechs, they left one out for training. That's good. At least they get some training. Now they're wait and see. They know they're gonna go to Eastern Europe to fight, but they don't know when. When they found out that they're going there as a support, not a frontliner, that's when everyone gets mad. This is where everyone's pissed. Everyone's pissed. This is when Titus and the general actually had a conversation. The major had a conversation regarding, why are we not in front line? Why are we not fighting? Why are we here in a support role? Do they not trust us? Do they not see that we're capable of doing this? There's a lot of questions that the group has. That frankly, I don't blame them for being mad and being pissed off, But at the same time, too, I kind of understand why they're not being put in those positions, because remember, since the beginning of the chapter until now, they keep saying that these mechs are expensive, right? And it's already been scrapped once. This is the second time. This is this is their second chance to make this work, right? And for them, seeing that is like they're kind of hesitant of releasing billions of dollars of equipment, and next thing you know, it fails. They're like, okay, well, we just spent so much money and it fails,
you bring up a really good point here. I want to comment on that. When he's like, we're worried about this, like, no military, a contractor who's building a mech or whatever that might be, building the tank or whatever, contractors just build the thing, right? They modify it, they charge, and there's no government contract that stays on budget. So they're the mall going, we're concerned about the money. No military person ever says that. They don't give a crap. They want something that works, and that's their focus, right? Maybe the company just like, well, we have overruns. The F-35 is a beautiful example, just like billions and billions in overruns, where they're like, hey, you ordered it and you changed something, so we're going to charge you another $1 billion. That's what Lockheed does, right?
Yes.
That's the way it does. So this whole like we're worried about the money thing really doesn't sit right with me, because no military guy, their focus is on the actual mechanical use of the device, right?
I agree 100% there, because it's, as you said, the contractors are contracted to build the machines. The military takes that machine, tests it, right? That's why there's always a budget for testing, right? In this case, I have this very nagging feeling that Earth, humans, are in the verge of everything's been inflated because of the war, right? Everything costs more, right? And I have a feeling that economics in this particular world that we're reading is vastly money has been inflated so much that everything costs, and everyone keeps looking at it, but they're not looking at the human factor of like, if we lose, we're dead, right? And capitalism's still in the forefront. They literally said in the beginning, in the first 2-3 chapters, that this is expensive, and economics and the economics and the commercialization and the corporation still in the forefront here, and they haven't developed in a way that, hey, or they haven't really looked at it. It's like, hey, if we don't fix this, or if we don't fight and use this, we're all gonna die, right? And that's what I'm getting from this whole story thing, because it feels like it's real, right? You're right. The soldiers don't care about this. Don't care about the money, but that's why the original the person who leads the program cares about that. But the new commander don't care about that. Do not care about that. His job is to bring them there, fight, fix the mech, fight again, right? And he doesn't care about the money. That's like that's above his pay grade, right? And Titus is sort of like, well, you already planted the seed that this stuff is expensive. Why are we not in front line? So
I wonder how they're going to react when they lose a couple mechs in battle, because it's like, oh, there goes $2 million. Oh, damn it.
He broke a finger. Oh,
like,
no.
It's like you signed for that, so you lost it. You got to explain why, you lost it. Like, I mean, that's a real thing. Like, pilots sign for the aircraft. So if they lose it, it's their ass, right? Like,
yeah, it's sort of like, it's like what you said earlier, the legs thing. They're dangling this carrot to him and say, hey, if you do your job, we'll give you your legs. If you don't lose a mech, we'll give you your legs. If you lose a mech and you lose your job, we won't give you anything.
Join us next time as we review chapters 24 through 30 of Able-Bodied Soldier. Thank you for opening the book with us today. Subscribe so you won't miss our next episode. We would love to hear from you. Share a review or email us at yourbookmarksinfo@gmail.com. Join us again right here where you left off.